All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you for taking your time today to attend the Study in Japan information session organized by Center for Japanese Research in collaboration with the Consul General of Japan in Vancouver, UBC Go Global, and Canada Japan Co program. I would like to begin this event by acknowledging that it is organized on UBC Vancouver campus, situated on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. As we gather here today as the guests to this land, it's important to reflect upon and acknowledge that we have the privilege of learning and working on as a member of this vibrant academic community on this land. My name is Miyoko Mimura, and I am a student assistant at the UBC Center for Japanese Research, CJR. We're supposed to have an opening speech by Dr. Eves today. Eves Bergian, who is our director at the Center for Japanese Research and Kowakai Chair Program, and a professor in political science. But since he could not make it today, on behalf of Dr. Tibergian and other CJR members, it is with great pleasure to welcome you all here today. We appreciate this opportunity where we can collaboratively promote this amazing, life-changing, and transformative program to study or work in Japan. Here is an agenda for today. So first half of the event, we'll have a seminar-style information session. We will start with the presentation by UBC Go Global and move on to the Consulate General of Japan, then Canada Japan Co program. After the presentation, we are inviting guest speakers from each program and have a chance to hear about their experience in Japan. We are also planning to have a Q&A session for about 30 minutes at the end, so please ask any questions you have at the end. So let's start this event, and I will pass this mic to EOB. So you can go up with someone, and I will.
Oh, okay. Or can I? Yeah, maybe I can listen. Thank you so much for that wonderful round of applause. Wonderful. So my name is Yobi. I'm one of the global engagement advisors at Go Global. It's really great to see you all here today. I see some familiar faces too that have stopped by our offices, so it's great that you're here to learn a little bit more. So I'm going to present to you about the different pathways and programs that are available through UBC Go Global. So Go Global offers several different pathways for students to participate in global experiences. And I will outline each of them and also highlight the programs that are available in Japan. So first, we have our semester exchanges. So we offer exchanges. You can either go for one semester or one full academic year. We have over 200 partner universities around the world and 18 partners specifically in Japan. It's such an amazing opportunity to become immersed in a university community. I have to say, I'm sure people have traveled to Japan before, but it's really quite different to be living there, going to university. So I really encourage students who are considering going on exchange to stop by our office, and we can definitely help you. The great thing about going on exchange is that you will remain enrolled at UBC as a full-time student, and you are paying your tuition fees to UBC, not to the partner school. So you'll still pay the same tuition rates as you do at UBC. The costs to be aware of include our Go Global application fee, which is $423.25. Along with that, you'll pay your UBC tuition, and any travel logistical accommodation costs are your responsibility as well. It's great because you will be getting transfer credits that count towards your UBC degree. And there's a variety of options for students across all the different faculties. So if you do have questions about the different opportunities that are available for you, you're welcome to come in and speak to the Global Engagement Advisor that oversees Asia. He'll be able to go into more detail about that, specifically regarding the 18 partners as well. It's important also to consider the term dates. So one thing that you'll learn is that the semester dates in Japan differ a little bit from what the semester dates are here at UBC. So when you're planning on which semester you want to go, it is really important to take a look at our website. We have partner pages for each university. And we go into detail on each partner page and highlight all the different details that you need to know, including accommodation costs, including semester dates, including program course availability. All the details that you need are available on the partner pages. There's a lot of funding opportunities available that we'll touch base on a little bit later, but also the JASO funding available for many of the schools. And there are English taught coursework at a lot of the partner institutions in Japan, as well as intensive Japanese language training for those who want to pursue improving their Japanese language ability. So that's our semester exchange. We also offer a summer abroad program. So summer abroad is really great for students who are maybe in a faculty that it's a little bit more tough for them to fit in going for a full semester. It's a wonderful opportunity to take credits during the summer. We have 50 different programs in 20 different countries. And again, like I mentioned, it's wonderful to be immersed in the environment. So again, not just traveling and visiting, going to Tokyo Tower or Tokyo Disney. You're there every day, part of the university community, connecting, making bonds, which is really, really wonderful. The programs vary in length from anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. And specifically for summer abroad, we have two different streams. We have our exchange, where you pay tuition fees to UBC. And we also have summer abroad, our study abroad pathway, where you're paying the partner tuition instead of UBC. And so we can go into detail about which of those experiences are have the study abroad pathway. I encourage those. One thing that I like to highlight for some international students, taking those credits abroad actually ends up being a little bit cheaper than the UBC tuition. But please don't tell UBC I told you that. But I do encourage you to check that out if you are interested in the study abroad pathway for summer abroad. Again, same costs to consider, including our Go Global fee, tuition, and travel and logistical fees. And so the three different programs that are available in Japan, Sophia University, Waseda University, and then University Kyushu. And every year we're adding more and more programs. So if you visit our website, you'll see more programs getting updated regularly. Next, we have research abroad. So research abroad is for non-credit experience. However, it's a wonderful opportunity to gain practical experience and building your academic network. We have different pathways and different types of program. So we offer a semi-structured program where the partner universities offer a specific research opportunity, and you can visit our website and we outline all the different research opportunities that are available. They can vary in length, but the majority of them take place during the summer months, so they can vary from 4 to 12 weeks. And specifically for Japan, we have University of Tokyo and three different programs: the Amgen Scholars Program, the University of Tokyo Summer Internship in Kashiwa, and the University of Tokyo Research Internship Program. All the details on each of the programs are listed on our website, so you can see all of the information that you need to research and decide whether or not it's a program that you're interested in pursuing. The programs can be competitive. You're not, these programs aren't strictly for UBC students. You are competing against other students applying from all over the world, so it is good to be aware of that. But we do have our research abroad advisor who can go over how to prepare your application and make a strong application. On top of that, specifically for research abroad, we do offer self-directed research funding for several of the different programs. So you can connect with us if you want to find out more about the self-directed research abroad funding that's available. So these three specific programs may be eligible for that self-directed research abroad funding. Oh, wonderful. So like I mentioned, the costs, the fee is going up. So it lists $415 there, but it's just been confirmed that the fee will be going up to $423.25 this academic cycle and forward. It's important to view each of the different partner pages for each of the different programs that are offered, because they might include unique costs, but they may include things like tuition for credit-bearing programs. Some partner institutions offer specific activities or internships that you can choose to participate in, things like housing as well. You have to be aware of the logistical costs as well. So things like applying for your visa, study permit, travel insurance, flights, additional health costs, ground transportation, and daily living costs. But what's great is that we have financial budgeting advisors. Your enrollment services advisor is there to provide you support in terms of budgeting. And we do provide information sessions on financial planning for your exchange, including highlighting all of the wonderful awards that are available. So I will chat about that. Funding. Each year, we do about $1.4 million of awards for students who are going on Go Global experiences. So all students in the Go Global program, there's a big group of awards that you're automatically considered for when you apply to Go Global. So we have our base award, the $1,000 Go Global Award. As long as you have a 70% average on your best 18 credits in the winter semesters leading up to your exchange, you are guaranteed to at least get $1,000. So that's wonderful. That's probably at least a one-way ticket to Japan. But we offer many other awards that you can actually apply for too. So some other awards that require applications are Go Global Pathfinder Award. This is a wonderful award. It's actually for $5,000 per semester. And if you're doing 2 semesters, you'd get $10,000. If you're doing a summer experience, you'd be getting $2,000. So all of the awards are listed on our website. And again, if you need help, if you have questions about how to apply for the awards, you're welcome to come in and chat with one of the advisors. And then I believe my colleagues here will be speaking about the Japan-specific awards. But the JASO Award is a wonderful opportunity for students who are going to study in Japan as well. Regarding our Go Global administered awards, you can only hold one. So if you do end up getting selected for example, the Global Pathfinder Award, which is $5,000, you would only get that award, not the Go Global Award of $1,000 on top of that. So the awards don't stack. So you can only hold one Go Global Award. And again, like I mentioned, your enrollment services advisor is there to help with questions regarding applying for different awards. The great thing about going on exchange, because you're still registered at UBC as a full-time student, you're still eligible to apply for Canada Student Aid, as well as UBC bursaries and awards and scholarships you may be receiving. So if you're already receiving a UBC scholarship, you can connect with enrollment services to touch base with them about that. But because you are still considered a full-time UBC student while you're on exchange, those awards, Canada Student Aid, can be applied to going that on your exchange semester. So there's some resources here. I encourage you guys to visit our website. Again, we have detailed program information for each of the 200 plus partner schools, including the 18 schools throughout Japan. I recommend checking out Hokkaido University if you're wanting to visit somewhere that's less hot over the summer. We also have our exchange student reports. So these are reports that are written by students who have gone on exchange and shared their experiences. So you can read the firsthand student perspective about their experience, which is very, very helpful for researching, learning about what the academics are like, learning what the daily life was like, learning all the different details that might help you decide on which school is a great fit for you. And then we do offer various information sessions throughout the cycle. And so it's really good to be aware of those things. Visiting our website, you can see our dates and deadlines. I know some of you here have already applied and are going on Go Global Experiences next academic cycle, so congratulations. We have just opened up round 2 of applications, and our deadline is in May. So if you do want to go on a term 2 exchange in UBC academic year 2025-2026, you can still apply. The deadline will be in May, and there are still lots of different opportunities available at our partner schools in Japan. Otherwise, every academic cycle, so you'll be applying for the next academic cycle. So for example, if you want to go in 2026-2027 academic year, those applications will open up in October, and the first deadline is in December. So like I mentioned, we have 2 deadlines, round 1, which is October to December, round 2, which opens up in March and closes in May. I strongly encourage you to not even look at round 2. I really strongly recommend, if you're considering to apply for Go Global, apply by the round 1 deadline by December. The reason being is that as a unit, we do our very best to fill up every spot that we have at all of our partner schools after the first round of applications. And so many of partner schools might fill up after that first round. And then in March, as in now, we will open up what's still available at our partner schools for the following academic cycle. So if you're planning on 2026, 2027, I strongly encourage you to apply by this December's deadline. And otherwise, if you do have any other questions, we do have weekly drop-in advising every Tuesday and Wednesday from 1 to 3. Our office is in the UBC Life building next to the Nest. So you can come in, chat with an advisor, and we can answer any questions that you have at all. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Yobi, for explaining the amazing exchange program offered by UBC and the global partner institutions. So now I would like to invite Steve from Consulate General of Japan in Vancouver.
Not sure how I'm going to work this. Yeah, so as Miyoko said, my name's Steve. I work for the Consulate General of Japan in Vancouver, and I work in the Culture and Public Relations section at that office. One of the great things I get to do is go out to universities and other educational institutions and hopefully try to encourage students like yourselves to go and study in Japan, either while you're studying as an undergraduate here at UBC, or if you want to go and study postgraduate as well. So I'm just going to back up a little bit and just to find out how many of you have never really thought about studying in Japan until recently? Nobody. Okay, so we got one. Okay. So most of you have thought about studying in Japan. Um, and how many of you have already been on exchange to Japan or studying in Japan? Okay, so a few of you. That's great. Wonderful. Um, my presentation. Okay, so I'm just going to start with a little bit about the international education situation in Japan. Japan is increasingly becoming a global destination for higher education. They are offering quite a bit when it comes to financial assistance through scholarships. They do offer programs in English and other opportunities for international students, which I'll talk a little bit about through my presentation. Just to give you some statistics, as of May 1st of 2023, roughly about 280,000 international students in Japan. Previously, the Japanese government had set a goal of reaching a yearly enrollment of about 300,000 international students by 2020, which means about 10% of their university student population. It did reach that goal, but then, of course, we had the pandemic, so those numbers went down quite drastically. It has steadily increased since the pandemic, and they are aiming to reach that 300,000 number again by 2027, so just in a couple of years. But then they are looking to increase that again to about 400,000 by 2033. So they are looking very much so to attract international students to come and study in Japan. With that desire to attract students, of course, they are making it quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Attractive for international students such as yourselves. So hopefully some of you will take them up on their offer. So I just wanted to go through a few benefits of studying in Japan, just to try and motivate you to go. First one, I think almost everybody realizes Japan is a very unique culture. You know, you do get the mix of the traditional and the modern. But something that students don't always know is that the universities do help with immersing you in the Japanese cultural experience. So they do provide not only high quality instruction in Japanese language and culture, but also they engage international students with activities such as homestays, cultural field trips, and other programs that you can take part in. One of the great things about going to Japan compared to some of the other countries that are on offer out there, it is very safe and comfortable. Of course, Japan has a well-earned reputation as a safe country. Out of all the countries that you can go and study abroad, Japan has a very low crime rate, modern infrastructure, and a top-notch medical system. If you do go as a student, all the students do enroll in the national health insurance system, which would cover about 70% of your medical costs. So if you're sick or injured in Japan, it becomes quite manageable to cover your costs. Japanese universities are also currently striving to create a good experience for their international students. So their international student offices are providing assistance with academic matters, career planning, visas, financial support, housing, and any other difficulties that you might experience as a student in Japan. Another benefit, of course, is just the connections that you create while you're in Japan. The universities do provide lots of opportunities for international students to interact with not only people from Japan, but with the other international students as well. They will help you network and develop your career-related connections. So some universities will offer internships and other support that will connect you with Japanese companies who are keen on hiring international students after graduation. If you're aware of the current situation in Japan, you know that the population is aging quite rapidly. So Japan is looking for foreign human resource capital, if you want to call it that. So they are looking for people to work not only in Japan, but people to work with Japanese companies outside of Japan as well. So a really good opportunity to go study and then graduate, and they really want to try and connect you with those companies. All right. One thing with Japan as well is just the high quality of the educational programs, both in Japanese and more so in English. And I know Ayobi touched briefly on this and the exchange programs and how many courses they are now offering in English. Whoops. If I just back up a bit, I know this is a little bit tech focused, but the gentleman on that side, so your left, is actually a UBC graduate in robotics. And he's now a fellow at Monash University in Australia. And the woman on the right actually now is an associate professor at SFU, and she runs the robotics lab, the Rosie lab there. So our scholarship recipients do go on to great and wonderful things. So there is opportunity by going to study in Japan. So in terms of the English programs, I get this right? Sorry, I should just mention as well, it's not only tech that they're trying to attract international students for. We do try and attract students in social sciences, business, communications, and the arts. And again, lots of programs operating in English. One of the biggest barriers for students to study in Japan used to be the language barrier. Of course, you had to know Japanese to study at a Japanese university. But a few years ago, there was a push by the Japanese government to have the top universities offer a more international environment. So as a part of the projects, they started with these universities here and asked them to start offering more of a range of programs and courses and degree programs in English. And what they're hoping to have is 200 university departments offering degrees in English by 2033. So the language barrier isn't so much of an issue anymore. Oops. And lastly, Japan's not as expensive as some people might think. Some of you are probably aware that the yen is quite weak compared to the Canadian and US dollar right now. So your dollar does go quite far in Japan. This slide just shows you the cost for international students in Tokyo versus other cities around the world. This was back in 2020 to 2021. But you can see, even compared to Toronto, New York, London, Tokyo is still quite favorable in terms of your total cost that you would be spending on going to study in Japan. This is just the basic cost of living. I don't know if it's so clear up there. So the average monthly cost of living in Japan for students, excluding academic fees, the national average is about 93,000 yen. So it's about roughly $850 Canadian. It will be a little bit higher in metropolitan areas like Tokyo. So you're looking at more like $980 a month. And of course, it will be lower in less populated areas or prefectures. All right. This is the average academic fees you'll pay, whether it's at a national or a public university. And it's at the undergraduate and graduate school level. You'll notice also, if you do a comparison, that academic fees in Japan are typically less than if you go to the US and UK. In comparison to Canada, roughly about the same. So not that much difference. In fact, in 2023 to 2024, the average undergrad was or just over $7,000, and graduate was about $7,500 in Canada. So that gives you a rough idea. But even beyond that, to try and attract international students, there is quite a lot of financial assistance available to go study in Japan, especially through scholarships for international students. Many of these scholarships are available to fit all types of situations, and you will find that they are offered by national and local governments, international organizations, as well as private companies as well. And one of the interesting things with the student visa for Japan is that you can go and do part-time work. So as long as it doesn't interfere with your studies, you can work part-time to augment your savings to pay for your schooling in Japan. So with all those scholarships that are available, I do advise you doing a little bit of scholarship research. So for example, this is the search engine that's available on the Japan Study Support page. And it will allow you to do a basic search for scholarships that might be available. What we do find, though, the best way to search for scholarships, if you know the program and university that you'd like to attend in Japan, go directly to their admissions page for international students. Often they'll have a financial assistance subpage off of that, and they'll list all the tuition and aid information that's available to go study at that university. All right. Also, I usually recommend that you can email universities directly as well, just to see if there's any additional scholarships that might be on offer to their students. Sometimes they haven't had a chance to update their admissions pages. Oops. Sorry, and this is just an example of one of the admissions pages for Waseda University. All right, so I mentioned about national government scholarships. The national government scholarships for Japan are called the MEX scholarships, and we do offer 3 types of scholarships. The undergraduate Japanese studies, which is when you're taking your undergraduate degree, and then the postgraduate, the research student scholarship. Undergraduate, I assume that most people are already in an undergraduate program or past that, so I'll kind of skip over that one. But just to talk briefly about the Japanese studies and the research student scholarship, these scholarships do cover your tuition and other academic fees. They provide you with a stipend, so an allowance to cover your daily living expenses, and we do cover your return flight to and from Japan. So pretty good in that they encompass almost everything that you would need to go and study in Japan. So just briefly, this is the eligibility criteria for the Japanese Studies Scholarship. Quite often people will ask whether or not you can use this for the Go Global exchange programs. It is very difficult to do that. With the timing of this scholarship compared to the UBC term schedule, it's off by a little bit, probably about a month. So it doesn't quite work out sometimes for students. But it is another option if you, I don't know, for some reason, can't afford the exchange fees, or maybe your GPA isn't quite high enough. But probably the reason some students end up going with the scholarship is because one of the universities they want to study at isn't one of the partner universities for Go Global. So it does give you that option as well. Okay. The research one, this is for after you finish your undergrad degree. It allows you to go and start as a research student or a master's student in Japan. And you can get your complete master's degree through this program. And then some students also opt to continue on to their PhD. And we've definitely had UBC graduates go on to do their PhD through this program. All paid for, again, by the Japanese government. Great. All right. So again, that's some of the basics of going to study in Japan. There are more resources on our website that are handy for starting your research into going to Japan. Don't forget to ask professors and people, the very good people at Go Global, about your international education opportunities. And hopefully one day you'll find yourself studying in Japan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. So now I would like to invite Canada-Japan co-program. So Yuko-san.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us to introduce the Canada-Japan co-program. And then thank you, everybody, for taking the time to attend the event tonight. So my name is Yuko Nemoto, Program Coordinator of the Canada-Japan co-program. I will introduce the program and then talking about the eligibility application process as well. So the Canada-Japan co-program is a national consortium co-program with member institutions across Canada. So basically probably most of you are familiar with the co-program, co-education, that so academic program to integrate your study at university with the work experience. In Japan, so for our program as well. So we house our program housed at UBC, but this is not UBC program. So we work with the member institution across Canada. So the program actually celebrated the 30th anniversary, and it was 2022. Unfortunately, that was during the COVID. So the following year, 2023, the Canadian embassy in Tokyo had the reception to celebrate our 30th anniversary. And so we start catching up the number for the placement in Japan. So this is the placement history. So we started it, and then of course hit the COVID, and then we couldn't send a student to Japan. And then we catching up the number. And then last year, we placed the 38 students. So the bottom in blue shows the number of the placed student. And then top in green shows the number of the work terms. So that means so 38 students, 70 work terms. That means most of the students do the 8 months. So 2 terms work term. And this is a list of the participating university, college, in Canada. So in British Columbia, we have 4 institutions, and 1 Alberta, And we have one Manitoba, and we have 4 institutions in Quebec. And then also we have one institution from the New Brunswick. So the field of study, so the student arts, humanities, social studies, sciences, international relations, Asian studies, and then also the human geography as well. And then business and then tourism, we have the international business, marketing, and the engineering, different program, mechanical, electrical, software, the computers engineering as well, science, computer science, chemistry, and biochemistry as well. So talking about eligibility, so the student, the Canadian permanent resident and international student can apply from the member institution across Canada. So the UBC student can apply, but the one thing we'd like to remind you that the student must be in co-op program. So UBC, the Arts Co-op, Science Co-op, Engineering Applied Science Co-op, the business, the co-op program, Souder, the can apply to the Can-Japan co-op program, but must be in the co-op program. And another requirement is the student must complete at least 1 work term before going to Japan. So once the student in the co-op program get the work term, the first work term before going to Japan. And another requirement is that is the visa requirement in Japan. Student must have at least 1 full-time academic term left after coming back from Japan. And so the language requirement, often students ask, oh dear, what is my Japanese level? Is that easy to get the job? So the student must take at least 1 Japanese course before going to Japan. It doesn't have to be the academic program credit course. Non-credit course is fine. And but when students apply, they must agree to take a course before going to Japan. And also we'll have the pre-departure training workshop before going to Japan. That's the student, the attendance is required. Sometimes students ask, why Japanese employers are interested in hiring students from Canada? Many reasons, and here's a list of the reasons. 1, globalization. If the one student in the workplace in Japan, and also the communication in the team will become the English as well, so that for some employers, they are looking for the opportunity, diversity opportunity, globalization. That's the reason why Japanese employer want to hire students from Canada. And also expand the folding networks. And recently, we hear employers that this is the opportunity for them to examine the full-time employment as well. So the student after graduate their university, and then they work in the company as well. So this is the student attribute, strong academic, technical background, and a previous work experience, and knowledge of Japanese language and culture. And then, of course, as you can imagine, international opportunity. You need to be flexible, adaptable, and then mature as well. So that's the key attribute as well. And then here is a list of the jobs the last year. So for some position engineering, sciences, and the R&D, software engineering development, and also the chemical testing analysis as well. And then we have also the arts and the business opportunities as well. And then some of the students are currently working in Japan doing the event planning, coordination, and then also the international sales marketing. And then some of the students doing the creating the content creation for the social media posts as well. So that's some of the position for the STEM and then the business and arts positions as well. And this is the financial summary to the student. So this is for 3 work terms. That means 12 months work term. So what the student is paying is investment is the 130 application fee. and 250 pre-departure training workshop. And then that's the roughly the 1,800 the round trip ticket. And then, but that depends on the company. Some employer covers the round trip ticket as well. And then the 3 work terms, that's the amount. And so I believe the UBC co-op tuition fee will going up the next the academic year, 2025, 26. And the student must have the medical insurance. And then some of the 100 miscellaneous expenses that the visa application as well. And then what the student will be earning is the amount on the website. This is the work location. Many of the students work the Tokyo surrounding area, and also the 15 less than the half student working in the second largest city, Osaka area, Kansai region as well. This is application procedure. So we advise students to check eligibility if you are eligible to apply to the program. And I just had a phone call this afternoon, and he's asking that he will miss the event tonight, and he want to check his availability. So that's the thing that we are very happy to discuss the availability and eligibility as well. And so check the eligibility and also the job posting when we receive, we will forward to the co-op program on campus. So arts co-op and the science co-op, applied science engineering co-op as well for the student to review. And then once the student review them and then there are position aligning with their interest, and then we advise student to reach out to our contact person, for example, Arts Co-op, Julie Walkley, the executive director of the Arts Co-op, Science Co-op, director of the Science Co-op, Javed Iqbal, and for applied science student, they will reach out to their own co-op academic advisor. So because we need a recommendation from them to move on to next step. And then once we receive the recommendation from your co-op, program director, coordinator, and then we will schedule intake interview, and including the language assessment. Some of the students again asking, "Oh, I haven't taken the course yet. Can I have the assessment?" All students, no matter you haven't taken the course yet, or you have studied the Japanese at high school, or you went to Japanese school. So we will have the language assessment with everybody. And then to discuss their eligibility to the program. And then the students are asked to complete online application form so that we can move on to the next step. And then here's a step that the student paid application fee and access to the job posting as well. So our role is the ongoing communication with students and also employers and about the job posting as well. And we will schedule the on-site visit, midterm check-in, how students are doing in Japan in the middle of the work term. And at the end, students are asked to complete their evaluation report to submit to us for grade releasing, so that we will forward the student document to their home co-op program, so that they can release the grade for the student. And if there is anything that any issue during the work term, and so we have developed a great relationship with the Canadian Embassy in Japan. So we will ask them to support, to assist the student as well. So this is the opportunity for the Can Japan Co program, and we have one of the alumni, William, is here. And he just came back from Japan in December, so he will talk about his experience as well. Okay, thank you very much for organizing the thing, and then Miyoko-san and her team. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Yuko-san. So now I'm excited to hear about the real experience of students and alumni who did the exchange program or co-program in Japan. So I would like to invite Nico from UBC Go Global program. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, so my name is Nico, and I'm a fourth-year student in international relations here at UBC. And I was on exchange at the University of Tokyo last year for 2 terms, and I'd like to share a little bit about my experience. So just some reasons why I chose the University of Tokyo. Actually, I am part Japanese, but I grew up in Vancouver, so I was always curious to see what life is like in Japan. And studying international relations, I think it's very valuable to learn different perspectives. So hearing from professors and students as well in a different environment was something that I was interested in. So just to show you guys a little bit about what the exchange program at the University of Tokyo is like. Here is the incoming international students for the undergraduate program. I believe we're about 100 students per year, and the program is called U-STEP. So there are students from all over, many different countries. Here we can see the Canadian students. Some of these were local students who are giving us a tour. So I believe we were 5 for the incoming semester. And we were 2 UBC students. So at the University of Tokyo, there are 2 main campuses that undergraduate students will be having classes in. The first one is the Hongo campus. This is the main campus at the University of Tokyo. It's where, for example, this picture was taken, right in that building. There's also Akamon, the Red Gate, which is kind of famous in Japan, and very beautiful architecture. So local students in their 3rd and 4th year have most of their classes at this campus. But for exchange students, as well as local students in the 1st and 2nd year, for the most part, have the majority of their courses in Komaba campus. So if you go on exchange at the University of Tokyo, you will likely live at the dorm in Komaba campus or perhaps nearby. That's what I did personally. Komaba campus is a little smaller, but it does have some newer buildings, and it's 1 or actually 2 train stops away from Shibuya. So it's fun to go out after class. And it also has some very beautiful buildings as well. So now I'll talk a little bit about what I actually studied during the year. So these are just some of the classes that I thought were interesting during my exchange. For context, the courses at the University of Tokyo count for 1.5 credit each. And at UBC, each course counts for 3 credits. So oftentimes you'll be doing twice the amount of courses that you'll be doing here. So personally, I take 4 courses per semester. I was doing 8 courses per semester in Japan. Now that sounds scary, but each course actually only meets once a week, about 110 minutes, 1 class a week. So it is very different from the way we have our schedule set up here. There's also less assignments. They're kind of all clustered towards the end of the semester. So it's a bit more of cramming towards the end of the semester, but you do get a little bit more free time, maybe compared to the university system in Canada. So yeah, these were some of the courses I was interested in. Actually, the last 2 are the same. I wasn't sure how to translate that, but I put that one because we visited this local middle school, and we had the chance to talk to them about multiculturalism. And this course was also interesting because it was in Japanese. Most of the courses I took were in English. For context, at the University of Tokyo, you need to do the JLPT N1 exam if you want to take courses in Japanese, if that means anything to you guys. But yeah, so that is a barrier. If you want to take courses in Japanese and you know you're proficient, you should go ahead and do the test right away. If not, this course specifically was available to people who haven't done the exam, so it's good to always check for specific courses. But all of the other courses were in English. So if you aren't a fluent Japanese speaker, there's a lot of interesting courses at the University of Tokyo as well. Obviously, there's interesting ones in Japanese too. Okay, so outside of the classroom, I did involve myself with the student life at the University of Tokyo. I joined a club called TGIF, which was Todai Global Interaction Friends. It was a club to promote just activities and fostering more connections between the local students and the international students. So we did some trips. For example, we went to Enoshima or to the bar, and we had picnics too. Also, in the school community, there is the festival every year. There was one in Komaba, the Komabasai, and then one in the Hongo campus as well. So it was really cool to see the university culture there. This is completely unrelated to the University of Tokyo or Go Global, but if you go on exchange in Japan, you might have the opportunity to do some work as well. As we mentioned, the student visa does allow for part-time work. So I was doing some kind of talk about multiculturalism in Canada to like the local community centers. So that was a fun opportunity to practice speaking Japanese as well. And finally, just to close off, outside of school, if you go on exchange in Japan, you can definitely do some traveling as well. The school year is a little bit delayed from the school year in Canada here. So you do get the months of February and March off, more or less. They might be different depending on the school, but I personally had the chance to visit really amazing places in northern, southern, and central Japan. So yeah, thank you guys for hearing about my experience. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Nico. So I would like to invite our next scholarship alumni. So Evelyn, please.
Check this one off. Okay. Hi, my name is Evelyn Young, and as you can see from that, I was a MEX scholarship recipient and went between the years 2017 to 2019, right before the pandemic. As you can also notice at the bottom of that says 2024, because if you were here last year, this is the exact same set of slides. There's nothing new because this is merely a distraction. You don't need, like, I will run through it. There's just me photos. Every 10 seconds, I'll flip to another one. There are hundreds of other social media content creators out there who have better videos, better everything that will extol the virtues of Japan. I'm here to challenge you to think about why you're applying to go. Now, if you're lucky, you will already have a professor who has told you about the scholarship with connections to help you find an appropriate university with suitable program and a willing Japanese professor to serve as your advisor while you're out there. I didn't have that. It was very stressful for me. I do not recommend doing this on your own. But I did find myself a machiya to live in. So anyway, obviously, if you're an undergrad, you'll want to apply during a year that your grades don't matter as much, and that then you can use your free time to explore Japan. Or you can apply as a graduate student, and then you spend all your time doing research that depends on resources that you can only get in Japan. Now, I'm saying this because your best academic option might not be Japan. There's no argument that being able to live and study in Japan without having to worry about living expenses is an incredible gift and opportunity, but you have to keep in mind of what you plan on doing after your studies. Do you want to move back home to become the Japanese expert, or do you want to stay in Japan and live and work? Because while being in Japan, and you can physically go to interviews and make an amazing impression, Japanese employers may prefer to hire foreigners who have experience outside the Japanese education system. Food for thought. Also, MEXT isn't something that has to happen immediately on your bachelor to master's to PhD pipeline. You have until you are 35 years old to apply for the MEXT. I didn't get accepted on my MEXT until a couple of years after I graduated from my master's, and I had already established myself in my career path. So, sometimes it takes more than one try. It took me a couple of tries. And also, MEXT is a scholarship for studying. Maybe you're not suited to study in Japan. Maybe you want to go on JET and work as a teacher. You'll have more free time to explore Japan, and chances are you'll be placed outside of the big cities, which means you get to experience small town Japan away from the tourist hubs. Incidentally, Mr. Steve Chevalier here does oversee the applications for both JET and MEX, so you can ask him for all that information. Because fun side fact, I applied to JET immediately to try and go immediately after I graduated from my undergrad. Was not accepted. Applied for mixed immediately after my master's to try and go to continue on studying after master's. Was not accepted. Wasn't until I established myself in a career, I had to leave a really good job to go on mixed. And then I came back and then had the skills to get a better job. So there are options. You don't need to force yourself to go immediately, either during your studies or immediately after your graduation. You can take time off to think about what it is that you want to study in Japan, rather than just being like, oh, I have to go because this is what people do when they study. And that's basically all I have to say about that. These are just random photos of me in Japan, making use of the discounted, heavily discounted or free cultural experiences that the International Student Center at my university allowed for us. And some of the stuff is just, you will make connections when you're physically there to find access to these kind of trips. And that's me learning outside the university as well, because university education does not teach you the traditional Japanese arts. So I found I had to go out. This is me learning traditional Japanese dance on my own time outside of my studies. And I also studied tea ceremony, again, outside of class. I did kimono dressing. This is all the stuff that I ended up doing and returning to Japan to continue studying, because again, this is not covered under university education. So you have to do it yourself. But that's about all I have to say. Oh, and then I am now a certified kimono dressing teacher. So there's that. But I don't have anything else to say because that's 5 minutes. Right. There's a whole bunch of other photos that I'm just gonna scroll through in case I need to get rid of them. There we go. All right, anytime here. There you go.
All right, thank you so much, Evelyn. So now I would like to invite Chris. Is Chris here?
Yep.
Hi, Chris.
Sure. Thank you. Just press this. Oh, cool. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris. I'm a DevOps engineer, and I'm here to talk about my experience studying in Japan as a MEXT scholarship recipient. So I did my study there from 2009 to 2013. It was like 11, 12 years ago, actually. So studying Japan. So why did I go to study in Japan? Tokyo Tech offered a lot of the resources and courses that are very interesting for me to study. It had one of the fastest supercomputers in the world back then. It was the fastest supercomputer in Japan called Tsubame. I actually looked it up before I came here, and seems like technology caught up, and now it's only the 5th fastest supercomputer in Japan, but it's still top 50 in the world. So that offered, the resources I wanted to study and, use new technology. Of course, there was a chance to study abroad, and back then I was also a co-op student when I did my co-op in 2007 to 2008 in Hamamatsu for a year, and that was a great experience. So I thought, why not? I like Japan when I did co-op there, so I might as well try to study there. And when I applied, actually, I didn't know about the MEX scholarship. I applied to the university through a reference from my professor at SFU. And when I applied and they accepted me, my professor in Japan said, oh, by the way, I applied the MEX scholarship for you and you got it. I'm like, oh, great, thanks. And so that's when I realized that, all my expenses were paid for, and, I also got a stipend. So studying in Tokyo Tech, the courses there were offered in, between English and Japanese. And a lot of the English courses were actually specifically designed for foreign students. There were a lot of foreign students in Tokyo Tech. They came from, China, from Korea, they came from Europe. And if you want to take the courses there, for me, it was about a 70-30 split, 70% English courses, 30% Japanese courses. But, for myself, because I study engineering, most of the courses are mathematics related. 1 + 1 = 2 everywhere in the world. So even the Japanese courses were pretty understandable for myself. The difficulty actually came from the weekly discussions. So my lab had weekly discussions about our research, we had to present, our findings, we had to present our, whatever difficulties we ran into. And all of those were done in Japanese because in my lab, I was only a foreign student, right? I was lucky because my professor was fluent in English, but most of the, my research lab mates, they were all Japanese and they weren't fluent in English. So I had to have a lot of help from a professor to help me translate. But as I studied there and as time went by, I learned more Japanese and I could participate in discussions in Japanese as well. So in Tokyo Tech, like I said, majority of students there don't speak English very well. Even the foreign students, international students, a lot of them are from China, from Korea, some of them from Europe, right? So don't really expect the de facto foreign language to be English. But it's a great way to make friends. I made lots of friends from China, a lot of friends from Europe as well. Back afterwards when I went to travel, actually I visited them as well. It was a great experience. So this was, the photo I went, that was 2010. I went to one of the conferences in Hokkaido. And those were my lab mates. We went to the Santoka, the first original store in Hokkaido. I think there was one in Robson. Not sure any of you visited there, but. So living in Japan, when I went there, international students for Tokyo Tech, you were offered the first year to live in the international student dormitory. And the student dorm, it was nothing fancy, but it was fully furnished. There's a picture I'll show you afterwards. The rent was quite cheap. It's about $300 Canadian a month. After 1 year, you're forced to move out. And in the larger cities, I know there are agencies that specifically help foreigners to find rental space. Because in Japan, there are people who are afraid of communication with foreigners. So some people may not even want to rent to foreigners, but there are agencies that will help you specifically for that. When you move out, you have to budget, infrastructural needs. In terms of water, electricity, gas, those things usually turn on within a day. But for the internet, back in 2009, 2010, back then, it took a month for the internet to connect. So I'm not sure about now, it might still be the same, but budget your time accordingly, because sometimes you may not be able to use internet for a month, and that's quite inconvenient. And also in terms of commute, when I lived in the dormitory, I lived in the outskirts of Tokyo, and Tokyo Tech was in the middle, in the city center. So every morning I had to commute into Tokyo, and every night I commute out. And you get to experience the authentic Japanese train experience, where you're packed like sardines in the train, and then you don't even need to hold on to anything. You can just stand there, and everyone will be squeezed around you, and you will never fall over. In terms of the commute cost, when you're going to school and go back to your living area, you can get a student pass, and that will give you a discount. But that only works between your home and school. But any station in between, you can use that as well, and you also get a discount. In some of the other cities, I know, like in, say, Kyoto or Osaka, the transportation methods may be different. You might be taking the bus. You may be, using a bicycle to go to school. You might also walk to school. But overall, the public transportation in Japan is really, really good. They're very, very punctual, right? If your Google Maps says it takes you 25 minutes, that's the amount of time it will take. No more, no less. So like I said, the right side is my dormitory. Like I said, you get a closet, you get a desk, you get a bed. It was shared washroom and kitchen. And then the right was the apartment I rented. The rental for apartment was also quite cheap in Japan. Between my roommate and myself, it was a 3-bedroom apartment, fully furnished, $2,000 a month total, so $1,000 per person. In terms of the culture, the Japanese people are very, very friendly. They're quite helpful, but they're also very reserved, right? So if you ask for directions on the streets, they will tell you, right? They will tell you, point to the right direction. But they will never, come up to talk to you, initiate a conversation. That's something to keep in mind. There are multiple clubs in school. I highly recommend to try to join any of those if you have the chance. There are international student clubs. There are also clubs in school for like running, sports, comic books, anything that you want to join. The living expense is a little bit different in terms of breakdown between there and Vancouver. The cost of rental is quite cheap. Compared to here, I think, like I said before, it only cost me like $1,000 a month. In terms of food, it's also a little bit different. Meat is actually quite cheap. Vegetables and fruits can be a little bit more expensive. And this last line, izakaya, is where you go to drink and have party, and it's also quite cheap. So, when I was there, that was like a weekly occurrence. So what I gained? Well, obviously I got a master's degree. That was quite nice. A chance to study and work there. So I actually worked in Japan right after I graduated and worked there for about a year before I came back to Canada. It was a really good experience for me to experience the work culture as well as the learning culture in Japan. It gave me a contrast of the difference between Japan and Canada. It showed me what I liked, what I didn't like, and really set me on a direction on what I want to pursue in the future in life. It gave me exposure to technologies that aren't easily accessible. Supercomputers, we don't find that just anywhere in the world. It's something you get to use, and those were a lot of good experiences. So things to keep in mind, right? Japan is different from Canada, right? We're both developed countries, we're both democracies, but there's a lot of difference in terms of culture. Keep in mind that in Japan, there are a lot of things that you shouldn't do that you might think is okay in Canada, and the laws are also quite different, so make sure you study up on that before you go. There's a language barrier, but Google Translate exists now. Back then I wished Google Translate existed for me. It made my life a lot easier. But learning Japanese is also, without Google Translate, it also made it a lot better, right? Because the immersion makes it so that when you're forced to learn the language, you learn it a lot faster. And I think, take the opportunity to explore. With the MEX scholarship, you get the stipend. You don't have to worry about living expense. You don't have to worry about your tuition. So take the chance to explore Japan, and see the sights, travel around, and do everything you can do. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. So I would like to invite William from Canada-Japan Co-Program. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, so I'm William. I was part of the CJCP program last year from May to December, so that's 8 months. And my location was in Atsugi, Kanagawa, as you can see on the map over here. That's about like an hour train to Tokyo, so it's quite a convenient location, but also not like in the tourist center. So I worked at NTT. NTT is very big, so every time you walk outside in Japan, you'll probably see their logo at least once. And also, unfortunately, you may also see a big spider. Whenever you walk outside, Japan has lots of big insects, which I learned once I got there. So they have several sub-departments of NTT. One of them is research. So I worked at the NTT Communication Science Laboratories, and there I was researching machine learning techniques to better understand how human responds to questionnaires. So there's definitely very interesting work experiences that you can get in Japan. So after you get into the program, hopefully, and get a position, there's a pre-departure portion. And there we have like workshops, and also you're expected to at least take some sort of Japanese language learning. And the workshops they give I found them quite excellent. They'll prepare you quite well for what to expect in the work and also just living in Japan. And if you have programs such as UBC has the Japanese language table, I found them quite nice because you get to talk to exchange students from Japan. I was able to make some friends there, and then later I would meet with them in Japan. So great opportunities. If your school has that, I highly recommend it. It's also good just to practice your language learning. These are some apps I used while I was in Japan to start just learning some kanji. I think kanji is something you get a big bang for your buck while you're in Japan because most of the signs will have kanji. And if you can just read some, that will help you greatly. So that you don't have to like try to Google translate it every time. This is the kanji app. It's like spaced repetition. And then Wanikani. kanji is made up of radicals. So instead of trying to memorize everything at once, you can memorize maybe 3 or 4 radicals and then create a mnemonic. So this provides some. I think these are very useful just in general for learning Japanese. So, and then you also have to apply for a visa. Once you submit the documents, then it's just a waiting process. So you just have to be patient, wait for your documents, learn about Japanese, study, do the workshops, and then you're off to Japan. So once I got there, on my first day, some of them will meet you at the airport, but for me, I had to transit to a hotel where I stayed the first night. And then on the first day, then someone from NTT met with me and they toured me around the city, helped me buy some groceries, showed me like to the city hall to get a citizenship card. And then also we had a lunch. If I look nervous in that picture, that's because I was. It's a very big transition. So the first days, I was quite nervous. So try to research more about Japan, especially about the train system. It's kind of complicated, but Google Maps does a really good job, I'd say, to just get you around to places. But learn more about the Japan train system. It's quite elaborate, but very good. So these were my living arrangements. NTT was quite nice. They gave us company housing. And then we basically had 2 floors of this apartment where it was just a bunch of NTT interns. And so from the photos, you can see we had basically everything you need, all the essentials, shower, washing machine, a stove. And then our place was about a 40-minute bus ride to the office. We're in like the center of the city. So it's quite convenient to just get around, but also to get to places like Tokyo and different parts. This is the view from the balcony, and this is a part of NTT. And also, I'll say about the buses, there's lots of tiny differences in Japan. So for example, you tap in from the bus in the middle, and you exit, tap out from the front. So there's small differences that you'll learn about once you get there. So this was my office. We had like an open space office. I think this is quite common in Japan. You see all your coworkers, they could be there. And then this was my desk. We had like a sign-in board. This is how we did attendance. We just moved that, put that here. You can see one name looks slightly different from the rest. We also had a cafeteria. This was really nice. So about like $6, $7, we can get a very nice meal. They change it every day. And this is what's called a konbini. These are very good in Japan. Food, snacks, very cheap or quite reasonable prices and right in the office. So really nice. And in Japan, when you do your co-op program, you have quite like an intimate relationship with your supervisor and your team. You should expect like to have a kind of dinner. Usually at izakaya with them in one of your first few days. So this is my team. This was the first day, and this was the last day. I'm wearing a suit and tie. If you go there, please ask them like, what's the dress code? I showed up in a suit and tie on the first day, and then no one else was wearing one. And then my supervisor's like, wow, yeah, you don't have to wear that here. I'm like, oh, okay, I spent $200 on this. So yeah. Since we had a lot of interns there, this was a table, picture, a lot of interns. That was very nice just to meet a bunch of people. The workday usually I'll leave around 8, get there just before 9. 12 to 1 would be lunchtime. There's like a lounge we had, so me and the other interns, we just talk for a bit. And then around 5:30, go back home, take the bus. And there are also other facilities. This was a gym they had, play basketball. Usually it was empty, unfortunately. And while you're there, you really want to just try to engage with the Japanese culture. So here I was trying on a yukata. This is called suibokuga, Japanese ink painting. The one mine is on the right because it looks worse than the one on the left. There's lots of festivals in Japan. I think there's like websites that will tell you like when events are happening. So this is called the Sanja Matsuri. This is a ryokan. It's a traditional inn. And basically these will kind of provide you with kind of full experience about Japan. They'll try to do something like traditional that relates to the place you're in. So this is a traditional inn in Gero. Fireworks festivals. Again, if you look onto their websites, they will usually promote events like these. So if you have the right sites, you can usually find something to do. And in travel. So for us, travel usually happens on the weekends. If you want to go to somewhere farther, you want to chain it with like a long weekend or try to use a few of your vacation days. So this is just a sequence of photos. Enoshima, Mura, Mount Fuji. So climb to the top of Mount Fuji. If you are there in the summer, I highly recommend climbing Mount Fuji. A lot of interns do. And there's different parts of Tokyo, Tokyo Station, Tokyo Skytree. This was in Kobe, an aquarium. And here, that's my mom, that's my dad. Parents love to visit Japan while you're there, or other of your friends, so you can show them around. This is Kyoto, Fushimi Inari, Osaka. This is also very popular to do, if you have favorite animes, favorite shows, you can try to recreate some of the photos. This is one from Your Name. We went to a bus stop in the middle of nowhere to recreate this photo. Nara Park, yep, deers. And in the background, one of this deer is chasing this little girl. She's holding what's called a shika senbei, which is the deer crackers. They will chase you. Nobori Betsu Onsen, nice place. Monkeys in Nagano. And temples. You'll see lots of temples in various parts of Japan. And there's lots of things you can collect in Japan. I think many temples will give you something, like a stamp, you can collect them as well. I know some people who enjoyed that. And also the food. Japan has lots of interesting food and good food. And we have Kobe beef, matcha parfaits. There's also many like American places, but then their food options will be different. This was Denny's. They serve more like full meals. It's quite nice actually. Teppanyaki, conveyor belt sushi, dango, takoyaki. Shinkansen bento. Whenever you ride a Shinkansen, which I highly recommend, usually there's called a ekiben, and then they just sell like these bento boxes you can eat on the Shinkansen. Highly recommend you get it if you go on a Shinkansen, which I also recommend. It's very relaxing. Yep. Ryokan, the traditional breakfast, ramen, curry. Our cafeteria had a very good food, rotated every day. Konbini snacks. Again, the konbinis are amazing. And a small thing I don't know if it's standardized, but many times the snack will actually match like what's on the packaging, the same size. So that's cool. Just try it out once you're there. And seafood, lots of seafood in Japan. And so the final thought, this is like a once in a lifetime experience. Basically, I have no regrets. If you go there, yeah, you won't regret it. There's lots of places to explore. Try to plan it out. I didn't do much planning before I went there. So once I got there, like, okay, frantically planning throughout the week of what I'll do on the weekend. So try to explore. And there's basically always a new place to explore. Anywhere you go, there's different culture. It's quite easy to get there. And there's different foods, different things to try. And so take the time to learn about Japan and its culture before you go, because yeah, there's lots of interesting places to go to. Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, William. So thank you so much for Iobi, Steve, Yuko, and speakers Nico, Evelyn, Chris, and William for sharing your amazing program opportunities and experience. So now we would like to move on to our Q&A portion. So I understand that our event was initially until 6:30, but we have this place booked until 7, and they agreed to stay until like a bit later. So I would like to take as much question as possible. So if you have any questions, if you could raise your hand, I will just go and pass the mic to you. So yeah, if you have any questions.
This is about scholarships. So other than bachelor's degrees and graduate degrees like master's and PhD, what kind of scholarships are there for like technical schools or Seimon Gakuin? If anybody knows.
So for technical schools, I don't know specifically, but if you do go to like one of those scholarship search engines, like I had mentioned, you should be able to find scholarships there. The other thing is if you do know the institute that you want to go to, definitely check out their admissions pages and their financial aid pages. If you have trouble finding stuff, then just look me up at the consulate and I can try and help you out. You're welcome.
Anyone have questions?
This is also a question for Steve about the Japan Study Scholarship. So one of the requirements says it must be majoring in fields related to Japanese language and culture, right? Does the major has to be the one in your home university, or it can also be the major you select afterwards in the Japanese like school program you wish to go?
So that's for the Japanese Studies MEC scholarship.
Yes.
Yes. So your major has to be in Japanese studies or Japanese culture
Yeah.
at your home university here in
Okay.
Canada.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone with questions?
I have a question for about relating to co-op. So this is for
Sorry, for co-op?
yeah, for co-op. Yeah. My question is related to for co-op. For the CJCP application, do we, in order to, after filling out the application, we must get a recommendation from our co-op advisor first in order to send it in? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, you have to be in co-op, and then see our job posting, and then if you can find anything you're interested in applying, and then reach out to your co-op coordinator or director, and then which program are you in now?
I'm in biochemistry.
So science. So that depends on what kind of jobs available. So we don't know. So just see the jobs first, and then reach out to the director of your co-op program.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
My question is regarding like co-op as well. So I'm going on Go Global Exchange to Japan. And you said that you have to take like a course, like a Japanese course before you apply for the co-op. If I take a Japanese course in Japan while I'm there for my exchange, would that count?
Yeah. As
Okay.
long as the student take the course, Japanese course before going to Japan, no matter that is the Japan or any other country, the student must take the at least one Japanese course before going to Japan.
Okay, thank you. And also one more question. How long is the co-op placement? Did you say, was it 1 year or?
So that depends on the job posting. So
Okay.
4, 8, 12 months. So that's the Canadian university term. Yeah. So
Okay.
depends on the position. Some positions 4 months, some position 8 months. So
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Does anyone have question?
I have a question for Steve about the MEX scholarship. Sorry, I joined it a bit late, so I might have just missed this part. I was just doing the researches by myself online. It's like real quick, and it said you have to be able to join the program like from the beginning, which is like around April, according to the website. Could you explain like more of that? Like, what if I have like some plan for the 4 months of summer before starting the school in September?
So are you talking about the Japanese studies
Yes.
scholarship?
Yes.
Yes. So with the Japanese Studies scholarship, the courses that you can apply for the scholarship are set courses that come from the course catalog. So they have a set starting time and a finishing time. So in order to get that scholarship, you'd have to be applying for a set course.
From the
And
specific school
for the specific school, yes.
that's affiliated with the program?
Yes,
Oh,
that's
okay.
right.
Okay.
So you would look at the course catalog, choose the program that you like, find one that fits maybe with your schedule, but most of them do start at the beginning of April.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone have question? Okay. All right, thank you everyone for coming here today. And I would like to express my deep gratitude again to Consulate General Japan in Vancouver, Canada-Japan Co-Program, and also Go Global UBC. So thank you so much. I want to give them a round of applause. All right, so this is the end of the info session today. So have a great evening. And if you have any questions, you can email them or like me or yeah. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great night.